So, this is probably a huge topic that a lot of people have talked about and debated. And up until recently, I didn't know that people didn't play D&D in a sort of cinematic way. I am, like the channel claims, a hack fraud. And I play D&D and only D&D. And I have only ever played with the same group of friends since we were in high school. So the idea of different ways to play Dungeons and Dragons is foreign to me. The idea that people play it as if it was like a war simulator or a pure dungeon crawler with no story is kind of a novel idea to me. So, as someone who only plays D&D as an avenue to provide my friends with a cinematic game of my own making, I want to now give you my tips and a bit of a tutorial on how to do the same with your own games. So, like I previously stated, I have only ran for the same group of people my entire time I have played. And these are my bestest of friends. People that I have known for years and have had conversations going into the wee hours of the night about anything and everything. My point here is that I know my players. I know what films they like, games, TV shows, and music. I know the stories they love, and I know what they like to see and experience in my games. I also know all the things that they don't like, tropes they hate, characters that they despise, and themes that they find sickening. I know when they are sick and tired of combat, and I know when they are looking to fight something. I also know exactly what type of NPC, plotline, or piece of lore, and when and where to put those things to immediately grab their attention and hook them into the story week after week after week. And that is the secret right there. If you want to run a cinematic D&D campaign for your players, you need to know who you're running for. You can put hours and hours and hours into a campaign that feels like an epic Marvel blockbuster. But if Stacy fucking hates Marvel, she won't want to play in your game. And if you have a super serious character death that is supposed to shock and awe your party and change their perspective on the entire campaign, but your party is a lighthearted group of people who just want to get together for a good time and a laugh, they aren't going to care. So the first step to writing a cinematic campaign is knowing your players. And this is easy if these people are your friends who you've been friends with for a long time, or family members that you've known your entire life. But if these people are people that you just met to play D&D, my advice has got to be to get to know them. Talk to them all together or one-on-one or both, and get to know what they like and don't like. And also get to know them as people. Learn their body language and inflections and figure out how to tell if they are excited, bored, or just apathetic. Believe me, this is an essential aspect of running D&D, because everyone likes to say you need to improvise to play D&D, but that improvisation is rarely coming up with a session on the spot. The improv comes in when you need to drag out a scenario or tighten one up or cut one out entirely when you feel is necessary as a DM. And you know that it's necessary because you can feel the mood shift around the table. As a DM, you are the one in charge of running this game. And part of the responsibility of running a game, especially a cinematic one, is to ensure everyone at the table is having fun and are engaged. And to do that, knowing your players is essential. So, for a second, just think about your favorite movie or your favorite game or your favorite TV show. Whatever story that inspires you the most, I want you to think on it and figure out why that inspires you. Really, I mean it. I want you to write down all of those reasons, and I'm not kidding. Pause the video and list what inspires you to make this cinematic campaign. Now, for me, my inspiration that defined what a cinematic D&D game is for me, well, that has got to be James Gunn's The Not So Alive Anymore Squad. This movie is funny, action-packed, suspenseful, epic, badass and paced so incredibly well that you feel like you went on an adventure yourself while you were watching it. And I think you can see what I am doing here. We need to take your own personal lists of what you think cinematic D&D should feel like and explore those possibilities. So for me, I have to say humor is of utmost importance. When I am running D&D, I am sitting across from 4 of the funniest people that I have ever met. Each one is more hilarious than the last, and they are all way funnier than me. So when I write D&D for them, I want to make moments for them to shine and be what they are. Funny. I don't forget that I am writing for my players, and since they all want to joke around and have a good time, I design these jokes for them. I write set pieces just like I would with combat for them to be funny. And hell, everyone has a great time, and it makes my games more cinematic because everyone stays in character. Because it is more fun to be in character when these humorous moments are happening. Next thing on my list is action. And for a cinematic experience, action is required. And I don't just mean action as in fighting. Don't get me wrong, I love combat and I love making epic action set pieces for my players. But action also means chases and traps and hell, even puzzles. All of these things can be exciting and action-packed, and by keeping that action up and mixing that action with comedy, you will never have a dull moment in your cinematic campaign. And with all of this action that I'm talking about comes epic, badass moments. And here, your players come into the fray. When anyone at your table wants to do something because they think it is cool and amazing, and that thing that they want to do isn't going to break the story, let them. Allow your players to feel like epic badass adventurers because they are. And when they aren't looking for an epic moment, but you feel like it's needed, throw some badassery their way by describing the gruesome kill or incredible feat of bravery that they just achieved. Also, be sure to let them know that whatever they are facing is grand and epic in scope, whether that be the big bad guy or a beautiful skyline. Paint a vivid and incredible picture in their mind, just as a piece of cinema would display for our eyes. Finally, we have pacing, and I surely will go more into depth about pacing in a later video, trust me, but for now it is important to remember that it is up to you to ensure that the campaign moves along at a pace that you feel is proper, and that pace also must feel right to your players as well. And this means keeping a proper pace throughout a session, throughout a campaign from adventure to adventure, and also keeping a pace outside of the game from session to session that ensures that feelings outside of the campaign don't get stale. So now that we know our players and know how to think cinematically, we can now begin to piece together what a cinematic D&D campaign experience would be like. And I think at this point, we are now able to come to that naturally. The final essential step to this whole process is to step out into nothing and begin writing this cinematic D&D campaign that you have thought so adamantly about. Remember what inspires you and look to your players for guidance. Not everything is going to work, and not everything is going to be perfect session after session. But as long as you and your players are having fun and your game feels right and proper to you all, then there you have it. Cinematic D&D and D&D in general is not about perfection. Even cinema isn't about perfection. So why should your D&D game that you're playing for fun with your friends be perfect? What matters here is having fun and challenging yourself to become a better writer. So do just that. Have fun and write. Everything else should come naturally. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful or at least interesting to watch. If you want more videos from me, go watch my latest video where I discussed weaponry in D&D. And if you liked this video, please consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribing. Anyways, if you have any questions or want to talk D&D or have an idea for a video, put it into the comments. I love this game and I love talking about it, if you can't tell that already. Okay, I'll shut up now. Have fun playing D&D.